Mercenary King here with Regalia deck profile. This is the new Vethrati deck. You know, just gotta be different, I guess. I'm working on a Brunhilde deck right now, but honestly, I need some more material for it, and I'm not entirely sure about how some of it's gonna go. But yeah, this is my main Regalia deck for now. I started out with Lading. His ability is Forerunner plus Act R, G-BT08. Put this unit into the Soul. Choose a Vanguard until end of turn. It gets auto Vanguard once per turn. When your card not named Lading is put into the drop zone from your Soul, call that card to Rearguard. That doesn't mean you can't Soul Blast Lading during that turn, it just means you can't choose them for the ability. So basically, what I can do is I can Soul Blast this, or this, and then use the skills later on, or like this, later on to call them out and gain the ability to gain more advantage. This card is stupid good in this deck, Midday Regalia Hemera, and I'll show you some combos I can do with it with the Vanguard. Anyway, but he's good. He just gives you a little bit extra of advantage. To Kokiri Hime, she soul charges and gives something plus 3k. That's pretty important. But honestly, I use her mostly for the soul charging. Sometimes I even forget to give a 3k out. 4 Regalia Clear Shine Angel crits. 3 Ashless crits, Regalia. When this card is put into the drop zone from your soul, choose a Vanguard with Regalia, gets plus 5k. Basically, I use him to power up the Vanguard. I only run 3 because I run 3 Dreaming Dragon, and they're both equally important. But he's a pretty good card. Besides the fact that he gives something plus 5k, if you do it right, you can actually do it multiple times with the various soul charging you can do. So you can give more than just 5k, especially if you have like a Shiny Angel or something to send them back in after soul blasting. You know, he's just one of those cards that has a whole bunch of utility and a whole bunch of power that works with this deck well. 4 Dreaming Dragons. Auto Rearguard G-BT08. Put this unit on top of the deck. At the end of the turn, pay the cost. If you do, return all cards from the drop zone to the deck. 3 of these, by the way. And shuffle your deck. If there's 10 or more cards were returned, draw a card. Basically, whenever my deck starts getting low, I slap one of these guys down or summon them out with a Lading, or and I got a bunch of other things I can do, okay? Like, I've got a bunch of things. I get it into the field, I put it back in, and then I shuffle the deck. It's, he's just really good. He makes Genesis an essentially infinite deck, which is pretty important, especially if you go for that sweet, sweet deck out game, you sadistic bastard. 4 Regalia heals. Yeah, heals Regalia. As much Regalia as possible. Shiny Angel, 2 of them. When this unit is placed on Rearguard from anywhere, put 3 cards from Regalia from your drop zone, put them into the soul. So you remember those 3 Ashless you just soul blasted? Send them back in, and then soul blast them for another 15k. That's all she does, really. Like, that's what she does. When she's not boosting, she sends things back into the soul so that I can prolong combos. Purification Regalia, Pure Angel. Auto Counterblast 1. When this unit is placed on Rearguard, pay the cost. If you do, choose 3 of them, by the way. Choose your Vanguard with Regalia, which is all my Vanguards. Until end of turn, it gets plus 5k, and Soul Blast 3. When this unit hits a Vanguard, pay the cost if you do draw a card. He's not G-Break, but you kind of have to be careful when you use it, because sometimes you just don't have the soul. 4 Nexiri Regalia Scold. She is a really good card. Choose 3 normal units with Regalia and its card name from the drop zone. Put them in the bottom of the deck in any order. At the end of the... So in other words, you prevent deck out. At the end of your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Regalia and the card name, 3 or more cards were put into the drop zone from your soul. You may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card and soul charge 1. So let's say that you have 3 of these out there, and you have 9 normal units in soul, but you only have 1 card left in deck. So you activate the first one, then you do the second one, then you do the third one. You lose the top 6, but you put in a net gain of 5. 4? Yeah, it's just 1 left, so it's 4. Which is enough to get you by for the next turn. Besides the fact that you're soul charging for abilities and you're drawing cards, it basically means that you're more unkillable than usual during your opponent's turn. Cause of Decline Hell, G-Perf. I'm thinking of running Secret Elsie, but honestly in this deck it doesn't need it so much because the offense is so choice, and I do need a little bit of unflip for my Vanguard. Sometimes. Honestly, I don't really. Really, I should be running normal perfs. something that can protect a rear guard. Or secret LCs. But I need perfect shields because sometimes people can hit large numbers, as I'm about to show you. For Regalia Fate Norn, when this is Soul Blast and put into the drop zone, choose a Vanguard with Regalia, and that unit gets plus 5k. Twilight Regalia Hesperus, when this card is put into the drop zone from the Soul, 4 of each, by the way. Choose one of your Vanguards, and when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, choose an opponent's Vanguard and retire it until end of turn. By the way, both these abilities stacks and can be activated multiple times. I have had it so where they hit, if I hit, I would kill 3 of their rear guards. I'm sure that there are combos, especially with Shiny Angel and Hemera, that would mean you can basically wipe a field on hit, which is hilarious. Hemera. Auto, when this unit is placed on rear guard, choose 3 cards with Regalia from the drop zone, put them into the Soul. This in Shiny Angel is why the early game works. What you want to do early game is like guard early, so that you can use Hemera when you get to grade 3 to activate somebody like, well, her skill if you don't have a hand, or Bethrati, which is like super offensive early game. Hemera is such a good card, no wonder she's still worth $9 or so. Now, for Midnight Regalia next, now, a lot of people are like, Ben, why don't you play Yggdrasil? Because I don't have Yggdrasil. Because I don't want to play Yggdrasil. I'm not impressed by Yggdrasil. She just guard restricts and then Soul Blast 6. Sure, you say you can hit all the Norns and the Hesperuses and the Ashleys and stuff like that. But it's meh. One of the benefits with her is that she is an infinite legion. And she doesn't have to legion all the time to activate it. Her first skill is, first off, she legions with her for 20k. Auto Vanguard, when the same card name as a Vanguard is put into the drop zone from the Soul, this unit gets plus 5k and a crit. Now, I don't know about the ruling, but I'm certain that Pure Angel might work. Because it Soul Blasts on attack hit, and then you just wham, give it a crit. Of course, you'd have to probably lie to the guy. Does it have a crit on it? Yeah, sure. I'm actually going to ask about the timing here, because if so, that's a very sneaky thing to do, and I'm loving it. I'm actually loving it. Act Vanguard Soul Blast 3. If the number of cards in your hand is 3 or less, which is often early game, honestly, because you have to rush a bit. Draw a card. This ability cannot be used again. I use this, like, let's say that I get a good ride-off with a Norn or a Hesperus for the first one, which is ideal. Like, I don't mind either. If I Soul Blast them early, that's a little bit more pressure on my Vanguard that they'll have to deal with. Plus, there's cards like Regalia of the Present Age of Vethrandi. Act Vanguard once per turn. Soul Blast 3 Regalia, which is honestly everything but the perfect shields and some of the triggers. Soul Blast 3 Regalia, and with Hemera and Shiny Angel, remember, you can put stuff back in. Choose 3 units in the front row, and until end of turn they get auto. Thank goodness it's an act, right? When this attack hits a Vanguard, choose 2 cards from the... Look at 2 towers from the top of the deck, put 1 card in your hand, put the other card in your soul. Basically, potentially, I've gotten it off of... Like, I've seen it go off like 4 times in a row, where they went, let it hit, let it hit, stand trigger, let it hit again. That's the max I've done so far. But if you get like 2 stand triggers, you can go like, ha! Poor bastard didn't get any triggers. But basically that meant I gained 4 cards into my hand. 6 cards if you count the drive check. So like basically you draw, ride, play Hemera, say, to bring it up to 3 soul with whatever. Soul Blast. Give the ability to Hemera and whatever's here. They're still at grade 2 because, hey, you went first, suckers. And now you have a potential to either minus your opponent a lot of hand or gain a lot of cards in hand while dealing a lot of damage. Her ability also is Auto Vanguard. During your turn when your unit with Regalia and the original card name strides, choose one of your Vanguards until end of turn it gets Auto Vanguard. When your card is put into the Soul, choose up to 3 units with Regalia in your front row and they get plus 1k. So basically, if you still have the field from previous turn, you can power that up some more. With some of the Regalia strides, they literally soul charge, like Earth, she soul charges the entire drop zone. So what you actually want to do is guard hard early, so that you have a decent sized drop zone, soul blast what you can, and then you just wham them with Earth, because she has combos. For Irises, when this unit is placed on G, choose 3 cards from the drop zone, put them into the soul. This gets plus 5k. Honestly, I just have her for the soul charge. There's one that gets a plus 10k, and sometimes I run one of her. But she's so finicky that, and I soul blast so much that it doesn't really help me too much. As much as other things. I run 3 tier. Auto Vanguard once per turn. Soul Blast 3. Look at top card of the deck. Put the top or bottom of the deck until end of turn. This unit gets Vanguard. When your drive check reveals a grade 1 or greater, Soul Charge 3. Basically, I use him to check the top of the deck and then Soul Charge a bunch. Because I like Soul Charging in this deck. I only run 3 because I don't really care for Doombrace. While Doombrace is good, he's not really what I want for this deck. He's not in the winning image. I want to have a bit of looking at the top, plus power, plus soul charging. It's a pity that Vethrandi does not work with him. Yeah, it's a pity it says original card name, because it gains the card name Regalia when it's played. But oh well. Anyway, for Vanargander, I don't use him as much, but he's hilarious. He has Auto Vanguard G-Break 2, Soul Blast 6, choose a face down copy of itself, turn it face up. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, pay the cost until end of turn it gets Auto Vanguard. When in the beginning of your drive set, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, search up to at the beginning of your drive step, in other words, after they guard. Look at the top 4, put them in the top or bottom in any order, and then, you drive check. So basically, if you see like crit, 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 you just leave those on top and put whatever else is on the bottom. If you say crit, 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 heal, you literally go crit, 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 and then put the heal at the bottom so you can laugh at them as if a miracle heal. Honestly, the fact that he lets you choose the top 4 cards of the deck where they go is almost OP. And really just a good ability overall. 1 Demeter. I don't need more than 1, though sometimes I kind of wish I did, but then, there's tier. Auto Vanguard, Counterblast 1, this unit attacks a Vanguard. If you have a heart card with Regalia, pay the cost for each of your heart cards, Soul Charge 3, choose a card from your damage zone, turn it face up. Like, she's the reason why I'm thinking about just taking these out, giving it to Brunhilde, and then finding some normal perfs just to give it, or some Secret Elsies. Though, honestly, I like Secret Elsie and Brunhilde. It's like one of those hard decisions, Sophie choices or whatever. Anyway, for each of your heart cards, choose a card from your damage zone, turn it face up, and Soul Charge 3. So in other words, whenever you stride over the Legion and do this ability, you Soul Charge 6 on flip 2 damage for a counterblast. So as long as you have a counterblast, you can use the ability. Then if you're not on Legion, you just basically get plus 3 Soul, which is good in Regalia. Like, it is good to work. Yeah. My last stride is 4 Prehistoric Regalia Earth. By the way, I only run 1 because I don't really need more. I just need to jumpstart the soul so I can start running tier and really boost it up. Earth. So, she has a book and a half. Auto Counterblast 1, flip a copy face up. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, if you have a heart card with Regalia, pay the cost if you do all cards with the Regalia from the drop zone into the soul. I've done as much as 11, which is so much fun. And to the despair of the opponent. If the number of face-up cards with Regalia is 2 or more, which it is if you strode Demeter first, until end of turn this unit gets Act, Vanguard, Soul Blast 6, plus 10k and a critical until end of turn. So here's the funny thing about it. This is an Act, and there's no once per turn. So in other words, you can do it forever. And what I've done is I've Soul Blasted as much as 24 cards from Soul, and then pulled them back out with, like, I've stuck a Lading in there, put them back in for, like, a this and a Shiny Angel. Or rather, the one I'm thinking of, I had, like, a Shiny Angel, and I put this, like, in the back row so I wouldn't disturb my front row. So I put the Shiny Angel, Soul Charge 3 more. So I did it again, and I was like 5 damage on hit, kill 3, plus like 70k from these, plus 50k from these skills, plus like 60k from things like Norn and Ashless that happened to be maxed in my soul. It was really beefy, And the guy's like, I don't have a perfect shield. And I'm like, Anyway, that's my deck for Regalia. I find it a lot of fun. The crits and stands work together so well, as I discovered with long dead Brunhilde, who I will revive via my necromantic sorcery. Just to surprise the Vanguard, surprise your opponent, and really get some value out of it. Especially now that Dreaming Dragon is so useful. You might be asking me, Ben, why don't you run the new stand? Well, it's a pretty good stand. I could run 12 stand in this deck, especially with such a beefy Vanguard. But the thing is that the crits early game really do wonders, as well as the fact that even though this gets crit, not much else does except for the Legion, which I don't ever really do, except I need to Legion and I don't have much of a hand. Like, if I've been in a position where I've been out of strides, because 4 of my strides will flip over a copy, which means that 4 of my strides won't flip over a copy, which only leaves me an actual stride of 8. So because of that, I could run a Blizza in here. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm gonna change out a tier for a Blizza, and just like it's the card I play last. Like like I keep one other thing open for it. It's like, so flip it over. 1, 2, 15 times 5, 75 plus 75 to Vanguard. Oh, it's beautiful. Anyway, I don't know whether I'll do it or not, because Blizza does like waste a counterblast, and I do need to flip over like 2 cards for it, which would bring me down to from 8 strides to 7 strides, but 6 strides? I'm not sure. Anyway, point is, this is my Regalia deck. I have a lot of fun, a lot of success. I have beaten like Fenrir with it and stuff. I didn't really use her too much, but she's not really there for it. I don't really feel that Yggdrasil is strong enough on her own to provide the power needed to win games, especially with striding being such a thing, as well as the fact that most people are able to G-guard out of guard restriction. Like, the reason why Metalborg Daikaiser isn't as powerful as it was is because unless you Luxac the grade 3s, the guard restriction, like you can't use grade 1s, doesn't mean anything if they start slapping down Dismals. Especially if they start slapping down Dismals. Like, oh, I hate Dismal. Like, if you think about it, like, let's say like, my Nova deck, I only play Dismals. So that means that I basically run 4 cards with resist. So it's like, Metalborg, alright, I'm going to hit you for 60k. Well, let's start doing it. 71k. Let's see 2 triggers. And the answer, they'll either Luxac you or they won't. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this deck, and I hope you try it out. It's actually very cheap, this build, especially since she's cheap. Earth is cheap. I don't think Van Argander is cheap, but honestly, that's the most expensive card here, probably. Unless Hemra. Hemra's also not cheap. But other than those 2 cards, like, everything else is stupid cheap. So you shouldn't really have a problem finding any of it. Though, you never know. If you just don't have the trade for it, or if you don't want the cards, I can't help you here. But yeah, I built it. I built it on a shoestring. Probably the hardest cards you're going to have to find is Demeter, who was a triple rare from a old Fighters collection. The first one that ever had strides. So yeah, Tears is easy. I've seen a lot of people running around my meta with Tears in their trade decks. Trade binders. Yeah, alright. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we the Mercenary King, signing off.